Well, thank you so much, Chris, for those very, very kind words. And thank you for your steady leadership of the Institute. You've been at the top since the very beginning when you co-founded with Father the Institute, but let me congratulate you as you now formally take the helm. It's so good to be back with friends at this dinner. My last time with you was memorable for a number of reasons, and you were so kind to accommodate me on an evening that was really bittersweet for my family. While I no longer serve in the official role I did when I was last behind the podium here, I'm happy and honored with the one I've taken on tonight, Father Sirico's warm-up act. Now, I know we're most interested in what the good priest has to say, so as with any good warm-up act, I won't be long. But I can't let this evening go by without offering my gratitude to our friend, Father Robert. I still remember when we first met, Father. It was 1990, and you were new to Grand Rapids. Dick and I were struck by how you reached out and intentionally met a wide variety of folks in your new community. Over all these years, you've been a dear friend, a confidant, and a rock for my family in times of joy and of sorrow. I cherish our friendship. Now, I'm usually not one to bring up age, but the world was very different 31 years ago. America had just won the Cold War, our economy was on fire, and to my knowledge, the Pope was still Catholic. Everything seemed right with the world and with us. But Father, you and Chris observed something beneath the shiny surface. Too many seem to enjoy the what of prosperity to the detriment of the why. You both understood then, as you do now, that prosperity doesn't necessarily depend on the right policies, certainly not the right politicians. It depends on right people, on moral human action. It was, after all, this institute's namesake who said that liberty is the condition which makes it easy for conscience to govern. So then, if people are not formed in principle, in character, prosperity passes away. Or worse, it's taken away. As it turns out, Father Robert and Chris were on to something. You were both frustrated by the ignorance of economic principles in too many pulpits, and conversely, you were concerned by the ignorance of moral principles in too many boardrooms. Too few could connect good intentions with sound economics. We're gathered this evening because you identified this problem, this gap, and you did something about it. Father, the institute you co-founded is about freeing people. Freeing them not for what they want to do, but for what they ought to do. It's about empowering people, not government, to do what's right for their families, their neighbors, for those right around them. Acton, then, is ultimately about action. Now, I'm going to guess not many of us know Grand Rapids' city motto off the top of their head. It is this: motu viget. The Latin phrase means strength in activity, strength in movement, strength in action. Since 1990, Acton has hosted more than 500 seminars, including 16 Acton universities, published more than 200 books, produced several award-winning documentary films, each translated into 16 different languages, altogether reaching more than 17 million people from 245 different countries and territories across the globe. What we know about Acton's reach is, of course, just the tip of the iceberg. My family and I were so pleased to support Acton in the early days, and we still are today as it continues to advance its mission in new and exciting ways. While the Acton Institute boasts a significant international footprint, At the same time, it's an important and engaged part of the Grand Rapids community. That very dynamic exists in Father Robert as well. The rest of the world knows him as a formidable public intellectual, while many here call him pastor. It would not be unusual for Father Robert to be thousands of miles away advising a president or a prime minister on Friday and be right back here in Grand Rapids hearing confessions and tending to his flock on Sunday. While many of us here admire that commitment and grounding in Father Robert, not everyone necessarily appreciated it. When Acton was carving out a place for itself and its ideas, some elites took notice and wondered. One prominent intellectual once urged Father to leave our community and move to the East Coast where he would allegedly have more influence. Father Robert, already being from Brooklyn, said no, but perhaps in the more colorful language of his homeland. Father, your life's journey has been a winding path. Aren't all life journeys? But at every step along the way, you aim to empower people to be doers, to challenge the created to create, to defend the dignity of every individual, come what may. Whether standing up for farm workers or standing up to a government that acknowledges no limits on its power, you have always been, and I know you will continue to be, a passionate champion of freedom and human dignity. Yes, Father Sirico has contributed important and impactful insights to the world of ideas. Yes, his voice is one that will resonate in the public square for countless future generations. Yes, Father's legacy will live on in this institute he co-founded. And importantly, his legacy lives in the many young lives he's helped cultivate. When Father Robert set out with a vision to establish a classical academy here in the heart of Grand Rapids, Sacred Heart Academy, just a few blocks from here, was on the verge of closing. Father went about refounding the school and turned the whole thing on its head. At Sacred Heart, parents are the primary educators who choose to partner with the academy in the education of their children. Unlike in Washington, no one here has ever confused a parent fighting for their child with a domestic terrorist. Today, the Acton Academy is flourishing with more than 400 students, many of them having intentionally moved to our community because of the culture Father Robert built on the city's west side. As secretary, I visited and experienced firsthand how Sacred Heart Academy is doing right by its students, especially right now. Many Sacred Heart students wouldn't be on the trajectory they are on today without Father's personal mentorship, discipline, pastoring, without his idea and vision. Father Robert, you've impacted and blessed countless lives of every age, including many in this very room. I hope you take heart in knowing that as you transition into your emeritus role, the Institute is and will remain in very good hands. And we have no doubt you will continue to impact and encourage all of us in the next chapter of your remarkable life. So, Father, tonight we are filled with gratitude for the ways God called and empowered you to serve his purposes. Gratitude for the invaluable ways in which you've served him, redirecting and reorienting your church, your community, your country, and all of us. Thank you, Father. Now, please join me in gratitude and welcome for tonight's main act, Father Robert Sirico.